I think they forgot to bring the piano. But Khamzat versus DDP just took place, and personally I don't really agree with the results. I actually think the fight was a lot closer than a lot of people are saying it was, and when they announced the results, I actually thought it was robbery, I think Drickus got robbed. But let's put my personal opinions to the side, okay? What Khamzat did was extremely impressive. To go out there and win every single round against DDP is insane. And I honestly think Khamzat Chimaev is probably the best grappler in the UFC. There's not much debate in my opinion. To be able to completely dominate the fight only with his grappling against one of the toughest opponents at middleweight. One of the best middleweights of all time in my opinion. Khamzat Chimaev is what Bo Nickel wants to be, okay? Now we can talk about the fight a little bit. I mean, DDP's wrestling, his takedown defense just wasn't holding up. He was surviving well on the ground, but it just wasn't holding up against Khamzat. Khamzat got almost every single takedown. I think he failed one in the final round, but that was it. So DDP definitely needs to work a lot more on that. And I think he came into this fight, him and his team, they came in prepared for Khamzat pushing that pace, that insane pace in the first round. But Khamzat switched it up in this fight. He was actually a lot more composed on the ground. And I was very wrong in my prediction. I said that if Khamzat, took a slower approach, he just wouldn't be as effective of a grappler. But I was very wrong. It turned out that he was able to completely dominate DDP in almost every single grappling sequence. Like, how many times did he get the crucifix position? Like, it was like 3-4 times. And another thing he did on the ground was just not taking any risks at all. He never postured up in order to get more leverage on his ground and pound. Let's be real, most of the punches he landed were pitter-patter shots and knees to the thigh. But that made it so that Drickus really never had enough space to escape those dominant positions. Now, I'm gonna be honest. It was very, very, very impressive of Khamzat to be able to do this. However, this fight was a real snoozer. And I know people are gonna say, oh, you're casual, man, oh, you're casual. Listen, man, all I'm saying is, I wouldn't have wanted my parents to walk in on me watching that, okay? Because if they did, I think they would have gave up on their dreams of becoming grandparents. And I know Robert Whittaker said, if you didn't like this fight, you were a casual man. And I know Demetrius Johnson said, guys, if you don't want to watch mixed martial arts, just turn off the TV. And first of all, there's a big difference between being a UFC fighter and watching the sport as a fan, a true hardcore fan, okay? I'm obviously joking. I love Robert Whittaker and I love Demetrius Johnson. I just disagree with their take here. Listen, you're allowed to find certain aspects boring, okay? We call Strickland boring. People call Strickland boring all the time when he goes out there and jabs and teeps, essentially doing what he does best in order to win. But you aren't allowed to call Khamzat boring when he does the grappling equivalent of that, just wet blanketing his opponent, hitting them with pitter-patter shots and kneeing the thigh. I mean, I would even argue that it's probably the same people who are calling Strickland boring, who are also glazing Khamzat's performance, saying, oh no brother, you casual if you think this boring. Khamzat, real warrior, real fighter. And listen, I think the funniest part of this is that Khamzat's always talking about, I smash everyone, brother, I smash everyone. And he has the right to say that, I think, because most of the time, he does absolutely obliterate his opponent in the first round, which is very different from Strickland, when Strickland says, we're gonna go to war for you guys. Because Strickland just gonna jab and teep for 5 rounds straight, and then brawl in the last 10 seconds. But Khamzat, on the other hand, going into this fight, you expected him to either run through Drickus in the first round, or Drickus surviving and putting hands on him in the later rounds. But that just wasn't the case. The fight was extremely boring after like the second round. Like the first round, it was pretty cool to see him like, oh dude, he got the crucifix, man. But then after the second, it just got kind of repetitive, and you kind of realized that nothing wasn't really gonna happen in this fight. And it sucked, because it was so much hype going into this matchup. I was hyping up my dad the whole week, just for it to turn out like that. It was boring. You can call me a casual, that's it. But as far as the future, who should be Khamzat Chimaev's next opponent? I think it should be the winner of Caio Beralho versus Imavov. I don't want to see Fluffy Hernandez in there, bro. Fluffy Hernandez beat Roman Dolidze. People are talking about giving him a title shot after he beat Roman Dolidze, bro. We just can't do that. But honestly, I don't even really think it matters who they put in front of Khamzat. If Khamzat fights like this, I think he beats every single person in the division. Because most of the middleweight featherweight top guys, they're strikers. They're gonna have a very hard time dealing with Khamzat. Like, stylistically, they're just at a disadvantage. And then you factor in that Khamzat's probably the best grappler this sport has ever seen. Like, it's gonna be tough, man. It's gonna be tough.
But here's the thing, you guys. I out-wrestle Khamzat and I beat him.
Nah, I'm obviously joking. Sean Strickland gets absolutely destroyed. However, if we're talking about Deshaun Strickland fighting Khamzat in Chirac, I think it's a little bit different, okay? I think Deshaun would hit him with a jab with a switch on it. But as for what's next for DDP, I think they should just give him RDR. Just let them have a goof off, okay? But anyways, I think that's it for today, guys. Check out my last video if you want to see how wrong I was in my prediction. But anyways, thanks for watching. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And also don't forget to share this to every single Khamzat Chimaev fan you know. And I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye!